Welcome back everyone to Magius Plays Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Last time we got the last of the shrines that we needed to on the Great Plateau. But we're not quite ready to wrap things up here quite yet. Instead, I'm just going to teleport right over here. Run back out and get ready for a pretty tough fight. Scattered throughout the world are various quote-unquote boss monsters that you can challenge to get some pretty solid rewards from. And this time we're going to be taking up the one for the Great Plateau. It's going to take a little bit to get to. And chances are good that, because I don't really have much in the way of armor right now, I am not going to... It may take a few tries to get past it. Now to get there, we just need to drop down and head to that clearing right there. But in order to do so safely, we're going to need to go down a little bit from where we are. It's also a really good area to go hunting in, at least for this early in the game. So we may be able to get some additional meat to sell along the way. One thing we're definitely going to be able to get is another ingredient for our elixirs, the Sunset Firefly. Boil these up and it makes a potion that is pretty good at making you stealthier. It's still not necessarily great at it, but better than nothing, I guess. Grab some acorns along the way. Or at least one acorn. Mushrooms. That's just rude. And that's what you get for being rude. Anyways, back to what I was doing. Another firefly. More key spits. And we are just about there. Go ahead and get out the right weapon for the job. And make sure we have the bombs equipped. So what you want to do against this guy, throw a bomb and blow up an arm. Like so. We'll drop to the ground, climb up on his back, whack this ore deposit as much as you can. You can get him in one round, great. If not, you can get him again and repeat the process. Take that out, That finishes things off. Get a whole lot of gemstones for your trouble. Which are very nice to have. If you remember me talking about hunting earlier, that's what I was talking about. There are a lot of boars scattered around that you can hunt down. And if you're quite enough sneaking up on them, they drop some meat. Cook 5 stacks of meat together, and you can make some pretty decent money off of it. That one... Well, that one sort of got away. No matter. We'll be able to get... We'll have other opportunities for hunting. I think I've already gotten all your friends. Yep, pretty well full on everything right now, so let's grab the treasure and move along. Now before I head out from here, two things of raw meat, not bad. But before we move on from here, there's something else I want to grab. Which is right in this area. So you head down there. Here's our chance at another boar. Oh well. Apparently that one let us get it. Or get him. So... actually... new type of mushroom. This one lets you move around or restore some of your energy. Move around more quietly, rather. Another drumstick. That can always be useful. More acorns. Now for some proper hunting. Or I could just fail that too. Here we are. Here we can get another Korok seed. Just need to follow the flowers. Not the most challenging of ones to get. And now, if you remember what we were told last time, find the cross point on the shrines. That's where we're going. Oh, this is that arrow. I got another one back, so not too bad. I'm not too worried about getting a lot of money right now. What would be nice, it's definitely not necessary. On the other hand, grabbing as many bokoblin horns as I can. Oh, okay, still not really necessary. But they're going to be coming in handy here before too long. Which is fortunate because these guys are all over the place and they're pretty much the only thing we'll be fighting for a while. Heck, they're the only thing we've been fighting for a while. Surprise! Let's just do a quick look around, see if there's anything in here that's worth grabbing. Not really looking like it, though. So we head on up. And finally go to see what this temple is all about. Aside from all the guys scattered around outside, of course. Some classic Legend of Zelda pots that we can throw around and break. Unfortunately, these don't really carry anything in them. Up here, braided statue. And this is what we were collecting all those spirit orbs for. You can trade 4 of them in for either a heart container or a stamina vessel. Right now, we are very weak in the life department, so an extra heart container is very much appreciated. I'll be going those for a while. Now that we have that taken care of, I have the next bit of the plot to wrap up. The blessing of the goddess has made you that much more resilient, I see. Here I am. Get up here, quickly. Well, you're just gonna have to wait for my mortal body to climb up there manually, because that is the fair way up. However, we do have a nice ladder here, so we can just climb up as quick as you please. And unlike normal climbing, climbing up a ladder does not consume stamina, and as a matter of fact, it lets you recover stamina while you're climbing. Very useful. Get in here and find out who he really is.
Well done there, young one. Now then, the time has come to show you who I truly am. I was King Rome Bosphoramos Hyrule. I was the last leader of Hyrule. A kingdom which no longer exists. The Great Calamity was merciless. It devastated everything in its path, lo, a century ago. It was then that my life was taken away from me. And since that time, here I have remained in spirit form. I did not think it wise to overwhelm you while your memory was still fragile. So rather than that, I thought it best to assume a temporary form. Forgive me. I think you are now ready. Ready to hear what happened 100 years ago. To know Calamity Ganon's true form, one must know the story from an age long past. The Demon King was born into this kingdom, but his transformation into malice created the horror you see now. Stories of Ganon were passed from generation to generation in the form of legends and fairy tales. But there was also a prophecy. The signs of a resurrection of Calamity Ganon are clear, and the power to oppose it lies dormant beneath the ground. We decided to heed the prophecy and began excavating large areas of land. It wasn't long before we discovered several ancient relics made by the hands of our distant ancestors. These relics, the divine beasts, were giant machines piloted by warriors. We also found the Guardians, an army of mechanical soldiers who fought autonomously. This coincided with ancient legends, oft repeated throughout our land. We also learned of a princess with a sacred power, and her appointed knight, chosen by the sword that seals the darkness. It was they who sealed Ganon away using the power of these ancient relics. 100 years ago, there was a princess set to inherit a sacred power and a skilled knight at her side. It was clear that we must follow our ancestors' path. We selected 4 skilled individuals from across Hyrule and tasked them with the duty of piloting the divine beasts. With the princess as their commander, we dubbed these pilots champions, a name that would solidify their unique bond. The princess, her appointed knight, and the rest of the champions were on the brink of sealing away Ganon. But nay. Ganon was cunning, and he responded with a plan beyond our imagining. He appeared from deep below Hyrule Castle, seized control of the Guardians and the divine beasts, and turned them against us. The champions lost their lives, those residing in the castle as well. The appointed knight, bravely wounded, collapsed while defending the princess. And thus, the kingdom of Hyrule was devastated absolutely by Calamity Ganon. However, the princess survived to face Ganon alone.
Link, you are our final hope. The fate of Hyrule rests with you.
That princess was my own daughter, my dear Zelda. And the courageous knight who protected her right up to the very end. That knight was none other than you, Link. You fought valiantly when your fate took an unfortunate turn. And then, you were taken to the Shrine of Resurrection. Here you now stand, revitalized 100 years later. The words of guidance you have been hearing since your awakening are from Princess Zelda herself. Even now, As she works to restrain Ganon from within Hyrule Castle, she calls out for your help. However, my daughter's power will soon be exhausted. Once that happens, Ganon will freely regenerate himself, and nothing will stop him from consuming our land. Considering that I could not save my own kingdom, I have no right to ask this of you, Link. But I am powerless here. You must save her, my daughter, and do whatever it takes to annihilate Ganon. Somehow, Ganon has maintained control over all 4 divine beasts, as well as those guardians swarming around Hyrule Castle. I believe it would be quite reckless for you to head directly to the castle at this point. I suggest that you make your way east out to one of the villages in the wilderness. Follow the road out to Kakariko Village. There you will find the Elder Impa. She will tell you more about the path that lies ahead. Consult the map on your Sheikah slate for the precise location of Kakariko Village. Make your way past the twin summits of the dueling peaks. From there, follow the road as it proceeds north.
Go on. Here's the paraglider, just as I promised. And this thing is tremendously useful throughout the game. But we'll be getting into that later. I've told you everything I can. Link, you must save Hyrule. And indeed we shall. But first, there's going to be a whole lot of other stuff that we're going to do. Like, for example, dropping one of our spare bows and getting an upgraded bow. Then, before we jump off and start taking on the wilderness, we're going to climb right up here and get another Korok seed. If you don't know where this one is, it isn't entirely obvious, but it is exactly where you'd expect something like this to be. Just climb all the way up to the summit, and there's going to be something there for us to examine. That sparkly bit of petals and pollen. And now that we have that out of the way, we can move right along. Have a tower to the right there, but I definitely recommend going the route that we were told to go. At least to start off. After all, we still are not very well equipped. However, it's going to be a while before we can really get everything up to speed. And, well, we've already been running pretty decently. We've got a pretty decent length video here. So just drop off here. And next time, we are going to make our way toward this tower. Which, as you can see, is pretty much right on our way to Kakariko Village. I'll go ahead and pin the other tower, because we're going to get there eventually. And I think that's everything we need to worry about for the moment. So tune in next time as we head off the plateau and into the wilderness. And until then, Magius out.